All right, welcome to another episode of Inside the Humidor. We're going to have another great show with Josh Eagle, Josh Mills, and myself. We're going to go over some of the favorite cigars that we've seen come out this year, cigars that you'll find at most cigar shops, I think, of any size or stature. You'll have them reviewed by us briefly, described, and then we'll get into the show. So thank you.
Welcome to another exciting edition of Inside the Humidor. I'm Josh Eagle alongside Josh Mills and Ed Brandyberry, my partners in crime. Well, guess what, guys? It's that time of year. It's the holiday season 2017.
That can only mean one thing.
That can.
You know what that means? The ratings are coming
Cigar
out. Cigar of the Year ratings are coming out, boys. Can you believe that? Unbelievable stuff.
Hell, I've only got to smoke one Andalusian Bull since last year's came.
That's because we keep selling them.
That's true, but you know, the Andalusian Bull was last year's winner in the Cigar Aficionado, and we can't wait to see what this year's winner is. It always puts a big uptick in the sale of a particular cigar, which has its own problems, like Josh just mentioned.
Yeah.
He only got to smoke one of them. We've gotten about 12 boxes this year on an unlimited order, essentially.
Yeah. It was a pseudo-limited release. Not a limited release, but planned limited production. And when it got the number one, you know, these things are aged for years. You can't all of a sudden decide to make more. You know, when they got the number one spot, and we have people on a weekly basis coming here looking for the thing, and 90% of the time I tell them they're out of luck.
And you really only get about a year window with that, with Cigar of the Year. You don't get, you know, you don't get a 2 or 3 years play out of it. I mean, some people will be looking for maybe one. You can maybe sell them 2016, or like if they're between a brand and you say, well, this one won in 2014 Cigar of the Year. If you've never had that one, give it a shot.
There's some that, you know, were just really good cigars, but I think the number one spot really encouraged. I don't know if that Melania would sell like it does. The Oliva Melania Cigar of the Year back in 2015.
Right, and
the size was their dog. Yeah,
the whole line sells.
Yeah,
now.
And it's a good cigar in its own right. I think it would sell fine without that, but I think that one may be the longest residual effect. But if you look at some other cigars that have got the number one spot,
because
it's about
I
a year
think they
window.
couldn't keep up with the Figurado, so people migrated to the other sizes.
yeah, but it still turned them on to a cigar they might not have had, and a
That's
price
right.
point that's a little bit different. The last two winners, guys, have been well over $10.
That's true.
You know, so you're looking at an above $10 price point, which isn't an everyday smoke, but sometimes these awards, people will grab them a little more often than they normally would, and the Bull's in that real strange price point.
You got a $13 really competitive. You got Liga Privada, you got Opus X, you got Drone sitting there.
And
That's
you know,
tough price point to be hanging out at.
it's a blessing and a curse, as we've heard in the industry, guys. Sometimes the people that, because of this production level, if they start to focus on another cigar to try to make that cigar because it won Cigar of the Year, the whole lineup of their cigars end up suffering. We've seen it time after time. And what I mean by suffering isn't the quality of the cigars are still there. It's the timing of the deliveries to cigar shops to become affected.
Yeah.
And when a cigar customer comes in, as you folks out there would know, you come in and you're looking for a certain cigar and it's not available, you'll be patient once. But you come back and it's still not available, now you're getting a little disgusted.
Yeah, and I like to complain, guys, about that in the industry itself. I have to sometimes take a deep breath because we know the process that goes into this. I've made the comparison that if you go any liquor store in the country, they're never out of Bacardi or Jack Daniels or Jim Beam. It just doesn't happen. Where the best-selling cigars of someone's product, you can be out of Macanudos, you can be out of Romeo and Juliet's.
Excalibur cigarillos.
You can be out of most popular cigars, and the reason is you can't just make a giant vat of them.
Yeah.
You have to forecast how many you're going to do. There's harvested tobaccos.
That's right.
Yes,
And
there's
then they
grain
age.
and yes, there's sugar cane and Bacardi, but that's an unlimited resource really, and they're not picking per leaf in comparison. So
That's right.
consumer has to be a little bit more patient. I know it's difficult sometimes to wait 6 months for your cigar to come back in, because by then you've already moved on. And I don't blame anybody for moving
Yeah,
on.
now you've tried something else, and you've got a new favorite cigar, and that manufacturer might have just lost out. But
Unless you're equal to opportunity smokers like us.
yeah,
Yes. And so a little lesson out there to the consumer, don't beat up your shop owner when the cigar's not in stock. It has nothing to do with it.
it's a lot of people's fault, but it certainly isn't ours.
Right. There's a lot of people at fault here. So this year, we put a bunch of new cigars on the table that came out this year that we got here in Moon Township that we found exciting.
This has been a good year.
Yeah, I thought there was some great releases this year, and we got most of the stuff that we ordered from the convention, which brings out the new stuff.
I think we recapped some of this stuff, talked about it a little bit in our IPCPR Redux episode, but we didn't have most of the product at the time. So now we've gotten to smoke it a few times besides just the show samples, which have a reputation for not always being
Up to standard.
a true representation of what the product is going to end up like. So now we've actually got to smoke all these things. We've got to see how the customers react to them and have a much better opinion. So.
Well, we'll quickly go through them. Matt, you want to go through the ones on this side real quick?
Sure. Well, we have from Aging Room, a company called Boutiques Blends, uses the brand name Aging Room, and the idea with Aging Room is limited production, small batch production. And what he did was he made an alliance with Altatis, and they have a shade. They have the Maduro. Maduro's the white one, isn't it? Yep, and the Maduro. And then they have
Sun-grown.
the Sun-grown and the Corojo. Now, on these 4 wrappers, they're only making 3 sizes right now. And we have, I think, pretty evenly distributed sales across those sizes.
Yeah, and the blends.
blends.
Really, Maduro's
Yeah.
been the one that's maybe kicked the most, but that's sun-grown, guys. If we're talking about cigars we really enjoyed this year, the sun-grown
I
from
have
Aging
enjoyed
Room.
all 4 of them.
Yeah, that one stands out for me.
Yeah.
Second to the Maduro, but that sun-grown one, the yellow
Yes.
band one you see, that
Yes.
one for me.
Yeah, my favorites have been the Sun-grown and the Corojo, but I like the shade in the Maduro. Just
What one was your favorite of those, Josh?
None of them were necessarily standouts, but I really appreciate what they did with the line. When you can come up with a 4 cigar line like that, and each one of those smokes like it's a unique kind of cigar. They get those different wrappers on there. We all know how that game goes, but it's 4 unique cigars that are definitely still one line. So I feel like that's not necessarily easily done to create 4 unique blends,
No.
unique flavor profiles. That
It'd
are
be
still,
synonymous, yeah.
and to
if
have
you
them
gave
ready
them to me blind, I'd probably be able to tell you that they're related or the same. You know what I mean? So it's
and to have them ready to come out.
yeah, it was
together.
just well done across the board
They're
on that
here.
one. I can't pick a
And
favorite.
speaking of Cigar of the Year, he won a few years back with the F55 Concerto in the
That's
Aging
right.
Room.
Which is back.
Was that the year that did it win Cigar of the Year, or was that the #1 American
It
cigar?
was a number 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a Cuban
the
number 1. and so
Cuban
it was
one, number 1 the year he won.
unofficially #1 if you don't care about
That. Right,
Cubans.
right.
Next, what do you got? What's up?
Well, next up we have someone I don't talk about very much. We have Perdomo's Estate Selection. And once again, 3 wrappers, as most Perdomos are. We have a Sun-grown, a Maduro, and the Connecticut. I have a definite favorite in those, and that's the Maduro myself. That's my favorite. Just, you can tell with the Estate Selection that it's well-aged tobacco. I tried to get actual age out of my friend, and Nick just grinned at me and he said, "Well-aged, brother, well-aged." And so, he's not going to be pinned down on the...
In its
Slang
former
for
iterations, because that's a cigar that has been released before, it was 9 year,
Yes.
7 to 9, I think
Right,
it was.
right.
So it's relatively safe to assume we're in that ballpark.
We're in that
give
same
or take.
ballpark. And what happens is he takes understand how he does this. He takes a block of tobacco and sets it aside. They label it. They let it continue to age in its bales. But he'll make this cigar until he runs out of that tobacco. He just discontinued the Grand Cru because he was out of the 2005 tobacco.
And which is good when you see, Nick's sticking to the actual age on the band. He'll probably release another Grand Cru with a different
Different year on it.
band box
Yeah.
in a different year.
Yeah.
My favorite is in that lineup has been the Torpedo and the Sungrown.
Yeah.
I probably have reviewed Nick Perdomo, the Sungrown in the Perdomo lineup is by far my favorite wrapper in the Perdomos.
Yeah, usually
There's
it's
something
mine,
nice.
too.
There's something nice about the way it smokes. In this particular cigar, you can really tell the age. There's some subtle complexities to it. I think it's really well done. The construction's great. If you're looking for a flavor bomb or a really bold taste, it's probably not going to be the cigar for you.
No.
But if you like a well-aged, some other well-aged cigars like an Opus or those kinds of cigars that have the age on them, or cigars that have been box aged, you don't necessarily gain flavor. You get some different flavors.
Smoothness. Yeah, smoothness with a well-aged tobacco.
Yeah, I've been describing to people, if you're well versed with the Perdomo portfolio, it's somewhere between, it's like a hybrid between the 20th anniversary and the double-aged.
I think that's a good.
So it's got some of that double-aged smoothness.
Yeah.
And it's got some of that 20th flavor. I think that's probably how I would describe it. If you like Perdomo cigars, you've had both those cigars, and you haven't tried the ESV yet, and that sounds appealing to you, then you ought to go try it.
I think that's a good description.
Absolutely.
Then the other one is probably one of the most popular young cigar makers right now. Everyone seems to want to either buy his tobacco or have him make a cigar for him. That's AJ Fernandez, and Altadas once again did that, and this time is in the Monte Cristo line.
Yep.
And this Monte Cristo is in their Monte by Monte Cristo. They already had one out. And I don't know, did Placentia make that one for them?
The Monte by Monte? No, I think that was
They
Dominican
did
tobacco.
That was their own,
Yeah.
yeah. And this one is actually made by AJ Fernandez at his factory, Tabacalera Fernandez. So that's a very nice cigar. It gives a different, for your Monte Cristo smokers, it'll give you a little different flavor profile than you might be used to with so much Dominican tobacco. But this also sort of rides, it has some Dominican in it. It rides sort of trying to get the best of both worlds with it, with some of those peppery nuances that you're going to get.
It's definitely not your grandfather's Monte Cristo.
No.
It's not a Monte White or a classic.
It's not a mild Monte.
No, it's in the medium plus range, more towards the full tick.
I'd
like
say it's a less refined Espada. The
Yes.
Espada is a little bit more, and not less refined in a bad way, but it's not as smooth. It's a little more flavorful, a little pepper bomb in there.
Yeah.
So if you like the Espada and you want something a little more punch, I think that fills in real nice. And that's what they wanted with that Monte by Monte Cristo line. That's how, when they first dropped that Monte by Monte Cristo, that was the idea.
And that's why they put out a 60 gauge.
Yeah. Not your grandfather's Monte Cristo. Here's
To
something
compete
some
with the
punch.
guys,
Right.
To compete with your Perdomo, your Asylum, your anybody who's putting out these giants, like Christophs of the world. The Monte line was to compete with that, and they have the big cigars.
Right.
So, to my left, we got some more cigars that are new this year. Josh, what do we got on the table?
So we got the Hamlet 25 year. Hamlet is a guy that's working with Rocky Patel. He came over from Cuba, and he's doing some really unique stuff. He did his first release last year, came out really nice. I think it was well received by the industry. And this year, to celebrate his 25th year in the cigar industry, he has released the Hamlet 25 year. Interesting blended tobacco. He's got Pennsylvania broadleaf on the binder, which probably one of the larger release cigars I've seen utilizing that Pennsylvania broadleaf.
Yes.
It's supposed to be kind of hard to come by, kind of pricey.
Well, that's why it's on the binder, I think.
Yeah, maybe it's not the
Because you only need a
grade
single
stuff.
leaf, not grade A. You're able to get it more readily because it's barely used in fill either. I mean, it's mostly wrapper tobacco.
Yeah, I think couple wonky, like Black Label uses it in some of his limited release fillers, and I know that Camacho BXP project had some in the filler, I believe.
Right.
But yeah, typically a wrapper leaf.
That's probably one of the newest cigars we have here in the shop.
Yeah, this one just dropped. So he dropped the original Hamlet. It came out being a more full body cigar, and he wanted to make a cigar you could hand to any cigar smoker. So this is his flavorful medium, kind of any time of day, any cigar smoker type blend. I think he did a good job. I think it's nice. It's been well received in this shop.
Yeah, it's a nice cigar. It's a good smoke.
Next up, you got the Fratello, the new Fratello Navetta, and that is Fratello's a NASA engineer over there, former NASA engineer turned cigar manufacturer, however that happens. The age-old
You
tale.
love cigars.
yeah, the age. It gets him every time, the old NASA cigar manufacturer.
So this was his, on a throwback to his NASA days, this is his mission accomplished cigar. I guess him and some buddies, upon the success of a project or a big mission or something, they'd go out and smoke their little victory cigar. So he wanted to make one to kind of commemorate those memories. And it smokes kind of like that. It doesn't, when I think celebratory cigar, I'm thinking Padron number 9, I'm thinking Obus X Lost City maybe. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily in the same vein. It's got some elegance to it and some smoothness, but it's more flavor forward. Definitely a medium plus body cigar at a minimum. But you guys smoked that one down yet?
I have not smoked it in
I have.
I have not smoked it about it.
That's a nice cigar.
I thought it was pretty
I'd
good.
like to give it. Do you know what the wrapper is? I'm not sure.
I'd have to look the blend up.
Yeah, that's relatively new here as well. So that's something I haven't explored yet.
Just came.
This next one's one I really enjoy.
Next up, you got the Punch Nicaragua. Punch is very popular here in the Pittsburgh area. This is how a lot of guys get their start because everybody's grandpa smoked Punch cigars, it seems like. So
A good mill cigar.
yeah, this is if your family smokes cigars, a pretty good chance you got started somewhere around these. Just from what I've heard stories from our customers.
That's right.
Nice flavor on it. It's not unexpected for Punch. It's not groundbreaking, I don't think, but it's different enough to. If you're not a Punch fan, if it's never been a brand that's really got you before, I think this is definitely worth getting out and giving it a try.
Well,
I've never seen you smoke a Punch before.
Before that,
Yeah.
no, and I enjoy. Punch is a Honduran cigar, right? A lot of Honduran tobaccos in it. I generally enjoy Hondurans, but for some reason this Nicaragua, I'm not sure what the blend is, but is it a Nicaraguan Puro?
No.
No. I'll tell you, but it smokes. It smokes
Still has Honduran in it.
with a lot of characteristics to it. And I really enjoy its changes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it's really well done. I was real surprised coming out of a punch to be not one-dimensional. A lot of punches are very one-dimensional.
Right, right.
This cigar has
And
a
that
lot of
doesn't make them
intricacies.
bad. That
No,
just
no.
means that their characteristics are going to have only very subtle changes along the way.
Yeah, I think they hit both marks though. If you're a Punch fan, you haven't tried it,
agree.
you ought to go try it. If you're
more
not a Punch
complex
fan,
blend.
you should still try it anyways because it's not necessarily an old school Punch. It's somewhere right in between.
And it's not a powerful cigar that's going to knock you out.
Don't let that dark wrapper fool you there. We talked about that before.
Right.
Dark wrapper doesn't mean a strong cigar.
Yeah, it's right medium to me.
Yeah, it is.
Next up, I got the Camacho Nicaraguan Barrel Aged. That's going to be a sequel to your American Barrel Aged. Last year, I think it was Honduran tobacco aged in American bourbon barrels. This year's is more Nicaraguan tobacco aged in
Rum.
Nicaraguan rum casks.
Nicaraguan rum casks. Flor de Caña, some of them they use multiple different varietals. Some of them were in 25-year Flor de Caña. Crazy thing about this cigar, guys, is you actually get a lingering back of the palate rum taste. Very subtle.
Yeah.
Did you get that? You didn't get it?
I get a flavor in there that is
Can't
atypical for
identify.
cigars.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't get slipped up. It's not an infused cigar. They're
No.
not spraying rum on these things or anything like that.
No.
The old rum dip.
Well, Gurkha, whatever, they've done some cognac infusions and that kind of stuff. This isn't an infusion cigar, but
Maker's Mark.
there is a flavor in there, and I'm not disagreeing. It doesn't scream rum at me, but there's definitely something going on. Whatever they did in that extra aging process achieved another layer of flavor, and already what I suspect to be a pretty complex cigar. I think without the rum barrel aging, that's still a tasty stick.
And it's not that little bit. That's one leaf usually in these barrel age that Camacho's putting out. And it shows you the difference that a leaf can make
Right.
in a cigar. And these guys that have been on blogs recently talking about the volume of the cigar overall and the one leaf can't
Uh-huh.
make much difference. I'm sorry, guys. It does.
Yeah. Well,
It's
there ain't
that-
usually much more than a
I
leaf
call
of
it the
Lajero.
magic plant.
Right.
Tobacco. Kill it
Well,
and smoke it.
one leaf of Lajero changes
leaf
your
of
nicotine.
Lajero.
Changes the nicotine content and the punch of every
Right,
cigar.
right.
Next up, this cigar was hilarious to us when they first announced it.
Love it.
It's the La Gloria Cubana by E.P. Carrillo. And if you are familiar with La Gloria Cubana, it was originally E.P. Carrillo, Ernesto Carrillo, that made the brand, sold it to General, waited till I guess his non-compete expired, came back, reopened his own cigar brand,
Yeah.
and now has gone back with the company that he sold to do a collaboration cigar.
Which
So yeah.
only happens in the cigar industry, folks.
Yeah, Jose Blanco was in here not long ago, and he got to tell me a little bit about this cigar. People accuse all these sellouts happen, and everybody likes to say that it's a totally different cigar, and this has happened, and it's not even close to the same. And usually they're not very. I don't think there's much to be found in a lot of those claims.
No.
I think more often than not, the cigar stays pretty similar, and the cigar changes over time anyhow, so it's like kind of a confirmation bias type thing. Jose Blanco said that he felt that there may have been a little bit of change, a little bit of discrepancy. He wanted to get La Gloria Cubana back to the original recipe, so to speak. So this is the old new La Gloria Cubana, I guess, was what he was kind of after.
Okay.
In what series? Like the Series R and
I guess whatever
probably
the
the
OG,
original.
yeah.
the original Gloria.
Little Gloria.
Yeah.
What it'll,
The old Gloria,
yeah,
like a little waffle.
The
we
waffle,
had.
yeah.
So just over years, with different people producing it, different harvests and everything else, the cigar is going to change. It's not anybody's fault.
Cigars
General didn't
change.
tank the cigar, but the cigar's changed over time, and so he came back with new leaves and tried to get it a new retake of an old blend, which is fun. And I'll tell you what, guys, this cigar has been like almost a guilty pleasure cigar for me because it's not particularly exciting flavor profile, but
it's the tastiest
smoking
medium.
characteristics. And
Great.
nice,
Yes.
right down the middle medium body, and it just smokes so well.
It's like almost chewy in description, and like just the smoke is chewy. It's a really well done stick.
It's a enjoyable smoke.
Yeah, and I actually wish that one was going to be full production, but that's going to be limited. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, we'll kind of tag team these Macanudo Black and White. Last year they did the Inspirado Orange. They're trying to do a little bit of reimagining of the Macanudo brand. I said Macanudo Black and White, right?
Yeah.
Might have said Monte Cristo.
No,
Anyways.
Macanudo.
Okay. Yeah, Macanudo Black and White. Last year they did the orange, which was a medium body. This year they did the white and the black, which is a Connecticut and Maduro. Supposed to be mild and full body. If you're a full body cigar smoker, they didn't quite get you there. But if you're a Macanudo Hyde Park smoker, this is going to be pretty full body. So it's a matter of perspective. Within the Macanudo portfolio, this is full body.
Yes.
Within the scope of
What's out there?
compared to La Flor Dominicana Double Ajero, this is not full body. So, I mean,
No.
it just depends
That's a
on
medium.
what you're used to smoking.
the 1997 with the metal band
Yeah.
that I've smoked is the more similar to that, which is a Maduro, where the Maduro in the Mac line, the Macanudo Maduro is almost mild, except for it's got like a cocoa-y taste to it.
Right. Right.
But this one
They
this one
call it
definitely
medium,
steps up
but
from there.
it's
It's mild.
mild to medium.
Yeah, this one steps up from there at least.
Yeah, and the last one we had on our top 10 Connecticut episode so you can go back and check that out. But we covered that one pretty well.
I think
But-
they did a really nice job with that Connecticut.
Yeah, and I think this line, the Inspirado line, conceptually is pretty cool. I'm kind of excited to see where they go
We've
next.
even had a customer switch from Sumatra to that Connecticut.
Yeah, that Connecticut's got flavor to it.
Yeah,
You know,
it does.
it's different than not to say that the original Macanudo lineup doesn't have any flavor, but if you don't like smoking cardboard, go to something. This Macanudo Inspirado White has really.
Wow, did he really not like to?
But there's a difference between smoking air and smoking for flavor.
Yeah,
Smoking for smoke in your mouth,
you can do that with a Macanudo.
you can do that with a Macanudo.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Macanudo has probably started more smokers than any cigar in the history of the planet. And it has its purpose. It's to get people out of.
I always hope they mature.
Yes, but they've done it. Like Cru Royale, one of my
yeah.
favorite cigars of all time. This 1997 is probably the most requested cigar in the shop that we do not have.
Right.
It's a Macanudo 1997.
Right.
And with the black, white, and orange, they gave
I don't know.
The orange
cigar
is fantastic.
smokers and cigar geeks something to go try. You know, this is if you like mild cigars, this is a pretty interesting Connecticut cigar. The black, it's a kind of a weird place if you want to venture. It's like a beginner full body cigar, so it definitely has a purpose. And then that
It'll lead
orange,
you
the
into
orange
that.
is still the standout to me in that line. I hope they can recapture
Yeah,
some
I
of
love
that
the
I
magic.
agree.
Maybe an Inspirato blue with some Sumatra. I don't know.
There-
what they're
this
gonna do
next-
I'm curious
yeah.
to see what they do next if they keep
This
that
next
line
cigar right here is one I only smoked at the show, and I haven't been able to. I didn't dip into it yet because this one just got shipped as well.
Yeah, I smoked the Corona off the shelf. The Corona was a fantastic smoking experience. If you're a DE fan, DE fans are nuts. I'm sure you've already bought a box. But this is the Undercrown Sungrown. The Undercrown original one was a Maduro. So the original was a
came out with
Maduro.
shade.
Then they came out with the shade, and now this is a Sungrown. So they've turned that Undercrown into a full-fledged line.
When
which
did that
is-
come?
Not
week.
more than a month ago. Yeah,
No,
a
last
couple
week.
week or two ago.
Week or two ago.
Yeah.
Really? How did I miss it? Is it not on the shelf?
No, it's back there. But no, I smoked into the Corona. I really enjoyed it. Lots of good flavor. Nice little, exactly what you expect. It's a nice little spicy sun-grown Nicaraguan cigar.
Well, boys, we're having a lot of fun here. We only got a few minutes left, and I know we've gone through a bunch of cigars. I just want to talk about some of my favorites from this year. You guys, I haven't made this necessarily a secret, but my favorite cigar this year, bar none, has been the Esteli Black Market from Alec Bradley. I really, really enjoy this cigar. I am a full-blown medium cigar smoking fanboy. I like medium with flavor and different flavor changes, but I am really right down the path. Like there's a very fine line with mediums too. Like to make a good medium for me that's not overpowering, like 40 Los Antilles. For me, that 3/4 full profile, I think it dries up on me and gets me too much spice. I don't like it. That's 3/4 full. But if you go mild plus, it's too mild. So I'm in the real range of medium. If you're in a medium smoker, La Gloria, Nick Perdomo's Sungrows,
His grand, especially
the Grand Cru, the one I
Sun
love.
Grown. Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of other cigars. The H. Upmann Legacy that they're discontinuing on me, of course.
Yeah.
The Christoph Sumatra. All these right straight medium cigars that I really love. They've been missing the boat. People have been going, for me, they've been going, I really can't wait to try that sun-grown because I'm feeling that might be there. Because the Hamlet for me, when I smoked it, I was a little because I thought it was too mild on the palate. I thought it smoked great. I liked his full body one better because there's times where like I really like a nice meaty full Maduro.
Right.
But that cigar to me hit the medium platform and it knocked it out of the park.
It
They
is
also
a very
came out
good
with
cigar.
the Lost Art, which is a Prensado follow-up.
Right.
Now, I haven't done my homework on the Lost Art. Like, what did they do differently than the original Prensado? Are you guys familiar with it? Because this is a brand new cigar that just dropped a couple weeks ago as well.
Yeah, I mean they were supposed to go. It was supposed to be kind of a herald, a throwback to some different cigar making techniques.
Is it Honduran?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's
Because Prensado uses
similar
a big
makeup
mix.
to the Prensado. Yeah, but they tried to do some different stuff with the pilones, I think, and then maybe the rolling and the punching technique. But yeah, the actual blend, I'm not sure what's different than the Prensado. It's definitely a unique cigar, though. I have to go look up the blends
It is
to compare
different.
them, but the cigars themselves are two different cigars that.
On the front of the table there, you see the Pappy Van Winkle for you fans of bourbon out there. You guys know that Pappy has heralded its release is once a year. They commemorate that with a release of the Pappy Van Winkle. This is this year's.
Drew Estate does that.
Drew Estate does that for them.
Shame on them.
Drew Estate, they put it is a well-made cigar. It comes in at a $25 price point. It's definitely worth, a cigar try when you're celebrating something. It's probably not your everyday grabber, but they come in 10-count boxes. You got the Pappy Van Winkle label on there. It's looking, it looks like you want to smoke it with a bourbon. Next to them, the new releases from Drew Estate in their infused lineups. They came out with a red and a gold and a Candela in the Blondie line. It used to only be the blue. So they've expanded the Blondie lineup. We don't have we just had to show the gold there. We don't have the Candela or the red to show you. The next is the Cuba Cuba, who came out of the Candela. Now, Candela is the green wrapper, guys. It's one that hasn't been. They stopped
making
the
a
fermentation
resurgence
process.
in our country.
It's definitely making a resurgence. And next to that is the Drew Estate and Rocky Patel team up, the Java Red. Now, the Java lineup has been in mocha, vanilla cappuccino, chocolate mint. Now we've done dark chocolate cherry. So that's worth a try. You really get some good cherry notes on that one and a little bit of the cocoa coming off of it. Limited release from James Brown. That's the Santa Muerte. That's this year's. That's his most recent of the new releases. That cigar does come out every year, guys.
Yeah.
But it's mildest cigar. It's not by any means a mild cigar.
Right. It's in that medium plus portfolio. The Cato and the Killer Bee. That's also a limited release. That's this year's version. You'll see a couple last calls over there. They came out with the new sizes this year for a cigar that was released last year. Those sizes are fun. There's now 4 sizes in each one of the lines.
Which one?
Last call.
Last call.
Last call.
Last call and the last call.
And that's
Maduro,
AJ Fernandez
That's
again.
another Pennsylvania broadleaf too. We're
Pennsylvania broadleaf on their Maduro, and then the Nicaraguan Habano. Then we also have some other new stuff from AJ Fernandez, which is going to be his Enclave broadleaf. Enclave broadleaf is an extension of the Enclave lineup, using broadleaf tobacco in the wrapper. And then he also came out
Nicaraguan broadleaf
with the New World Puro Especial, which is New World is one of the least expensive cigars you could smoke. That is probably one of the best
bang for your buck
in the industry, bar none. I don't even know if anyone would even argue. Like, very.
It's hard to make a case against it.
You know,
this is a darker, richer profile.
This one's a darker, richer profile. You can tell he used some tobacco with a little more age on it. Yeah. This one steps up in price point. It bumps up about $1. About $1 for this Puro Especial. And instead of the traditional box press with the New World, he went to the round cigar, and more of a traditional Parejo.
That's right.
With that cigar. So
and once again, a very nice cigar.
The end of the year is coming. Our next episode, we're probably going to have the results.
Yeah, we'll probably break down what actually won the awards.
We'll at least have some of them.
We'll at least have some of them for you. So we're going to start breaking down the top 25. Make sure you stay tuned. You know, we're going to see you before that, but, you know, have a nice holiday season and get out there and burn one.
Thanks for tuning in for another mind-bending episode of Inside the Humidor. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, want to know where to find these cigars, want to know anything about us, any questions for the show, give us a shout in the comments down below or in the description there. I'll have contact info for us, email for us. We'll have some of these cigars up on stackcigars.com if you're not in the area or your local tobacconist doesn't have it and you want to try them out, so check that out. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Get out there and burn one.